Hi my friends, how you all doing? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to a brand new episode of our city zoo build, Tropical Wings Zoo. So we're back in TW gang and I've got a fresh episode for you today. Last episode is linked above in case you have missed it. It was a big planning episode where we talked about all of the future things that we're going to be bringing to Tropical Wings Zoo. Now I've worked on something for today's episode that wasn't mentioned in that planning episode, but someone left a comment, I liked the comment enough and I've gone ahead and built it. I am going to throw it out there right now, there's no animals today. I know that some of you might not like this, but I'm going to explain all in a moment. So here we are, gang. We are at the entrance of Tropical Wings Zoo. So, like I've just said, no animals in today's episode. Now, when I started building, I had all of my ideas were to basically head towards building an animal. I was actually going to build a restaurant. There was lots of things that I planned to do for today's episode. It was probably going to actually end up going out more so the weekend than now. But basically, I've not been able to do that, and I've had to knock it on the head because yours truly's got a back injury. And because of where it is, it's far too uncomfortable to sit at my computer for long periods of time working away at Tropical Wings. But I have basically made this decision that I want to get an episode out a week. I don't want there to be any big gaps anymore where Tropical Wings is concerned. You know, it's the big series that we're doing with Planet Zoo at the minute, and I think that whatever I've got at the end of the week, I think I should present. Obviously, as long as it's, you know, finished, I think I should present. And basically, I got a big chunk of the work done for today's episode, so I thought I would present that. So like I say, there's no animals, but what I will do is I'll talk about the animals that I plan to do, and then you can tell me what you think about that. And also, I'm going to talk about what's going to happen next time. So, my friends, we're going to flip all the way over here, and I've basically... This is so satisfying. It's like a piece of the jigsaw for TW is done and dusted. I've been basically working on that corner over there behind the medical facility. Now, you've heard me say in the planning episode that I wanted to do like a quarantine unit, and then there was a bunch of space there. You know, we were going to do a fire exit. That went straight out into the park. We were going to potentially do, you know, an animal over there and whatnot. And then a comment was left about potentially doing like an old styled sort of Victorian garden. Maybe there's something that was left over from when the company, you know, bought up this plot to turn it into a zoo. Couldn't be destroyed because it was listed. I really liked that idea, and basically that is what we've done. So what I will do is I will walk you on up this way. So we're basically going up in the same direction that the crane were in the last proper episode. You know, the last episode we had where there were animals. So we will continue to go up this way. And what you're going to see is that this area is really starting to fill out a lot more as a result of all the work that I've been doing, basically. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a view from here first, so you can, you know, kind of digest it and take in some of the stuff that I've been doing. As you can see, it goes all the way up to the perimeter of the zoo now. That's basically the gate to the outside, goes all the way out into the park. You know, we're keeping with the old style sort of Victorian fence in there because, you know, for kind of like law reasons, you know, we can't really remove that, so the zoo has had to go about things in a certain way to, you know, guard against security and all this sort of stuff. So you will remember from the crane episode, it was literally, I just threw the crane in here, didn't I? It was a beautiful habitat, but we hadn't done any of the surrounding area. Now, as you can see, I've started to do the work on the surrounding area now. We really started to add in some foliage all behind the hab, you know, to the side of the hab, and it's really started to make it feel, you know, a lot more intimate in my opinion. I think once we start getting all the plants in here and here as well, we're actually going to have a path coming off this way, As you can see, there's some going off here as well. But once we start getting these plants in, I think it's going to feel really, really nice. I did make a few subtle changes to the crane's habitat as well. There was some really big sort of bamboo bushes in here. Ended up being a bit garish, so I've removed them out, and I think it actually looks a lot better for removing them. I also reworked the foliage a little bit inside the hab, and I think I'm going to rework it slightly again. I'm not sure on these reeds with the flowers on the top. I might remove them and go more with the other reeds and just have a few of these. I think it might look a little better. I'm just not sure on that plant. Instead, I kind of made my own, and I think they look a lot better by bunch in this grass together. But the crane's habitat hasn't really changed much, but just a little bit of a rework on the planting. So as we come around this way, gang, you're going to see that this is where the changes have really happened in this area. I've added a toilet block in because I thought this was really important. When I was looking around the zoo, we don't have much of this. We've got the main toilet block at the zoo entrance, and then I believe we've got a toilet facility inside the Primates of Africa area, and I think, you know, I think there's only one more. I can't remember exactly where it was. I think it's part of the snack shack. That's all we've got toilets wise. So actually, we really need to at some point go around the zoo and add a few more toilet blocks. And it's one of the reasons why I've added this one here, gang. So it's really nothing special. It is just what it says on the tin. It's a toilet. We've got male and female. You know, it's basic. It's just a rectangle building basically. But I just kind of decorated it up. Put some nice trellis fencing on the front as well, just to kind of separate those in and out areas. Continued all the planting and whatnot, and just added the bits of detail that you kind of need to the area. I'll show you all the behind the scenes as well, the backstage, because there's all access to the toilet from back there. There's lots going on behind the scenes as well as, you know, up the front. So I've added in this planter in the middle, and I've avoided putting any flowers in this. I've just gone with 3, you know, relatively large trees, because I wanted to create some shade in this area as the day changes. I wanted there to be some shade that was cast kind of on this area, off the back and to the other side, basically. That's why I've put these trees here, and I'm probably going to do very similar here to kind of cast that shade along here as well. We've not put any covers for our guests, you know, when the weather's not that great, but when the weather's really warm either, there's no covers to kind of guard against that sort of thing. So I'm going with a more natural feel, just because of how lush this area has become, just because of how natural we're trying to go kind of in this area. So yeah, we've also put a wayfinder in. I think this is going to be really important in this area, because the last one we had is all the way up there near the camels, and obviously this is going to go off, and there's going to be lots of animals kind of off in this direction. So I thought this was really important, basically, to get that in here. We go around this way, gang, and this is kind of like one of the entrances that's going to take you into the old Victorian gardens, is basically what I'm calling it. It's essentially like an old Victorian style garden. It was part of the original plot when the zoo was bought up. Couldn't destroy it though, because it's listed. It's basically so old it cannot be removed, and so the zoo has kind of like made it a big part of, you know, this area, and you know, the ground staff and whatnot keep it beautiful, and I think it's going to be a really nice addition to this end of the zoo. Obviously, we're continuing with all these planters, we're continuing with this lovely wall design, you know, and the hedging and whatnot. I think it looks really nice. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the garden first, and then we'll do the backstage after this, because I think it might be perfect to do that. I need to finish off the planting here. I'm going to be very honest with you. Like I said, I've got a little bit of a back injury at the moment. It was really uncomfortable, and I got to a point where I just had to stop. I was in too much pain. This is the following day after I've built it all, so not too bad at the minute, but it's still a little bit tender. So I need to just finish off a bit of planting in here. But as you can see, I wanted, with this garden, I wanted it to feel like everything was placed there on purpose, but at the same time I wanted it to feel very wild and overgrown. I looked at lots and lots of images online of Victorian style gardens, and this was the style I liked the most, where everything had a place but everything was allowed to kind of just get a bit wild, basically, and look a bit more natural. So obviously we're going to have plants that are coming off of the entrance trellis ways. You know, we've got plants that are overgrown in the little planters inside. We've got benches, we've got fountains, we've got all sorts of stuff in here, and I really hope that you like it as much as I do. As you can see, we've got, you know, creeping bushes that have climbed over the walls and have come over the other side and stuff like that, and that's really what I was trying to achieve. So if we go through this entranceway, then you're going to see this is our little Victorian gardens. It's not massive, it really isn't massive, but essentially this is Tropical Wings Victorian garden basically, and it's here and a big part of this corner of the zoo. So what I'm going to do is have a little zoom out job so that you can see exactly what we are dealing with this Victorian garden. So the way I've built it is I've done a centrepiece, I've done like a big fountain in the middle, we've done a lovely centrepiece, and then we've chosen to put a lion statue at the far end of the garden as well. Now, for those that don't know, the lion, I do believe, is the official animal of England, and obviously this is set in England. I'm pretty sure that's correct. I am pretty sure that's correct. And so I think it made sense to have the lion in there, in my opinion. And then, as you can see, it's what I mean by everything has got a place, but it's gone a bit wild, is you will see that it almost mirrors, the two sides here almost mirror each other, but at the same time they are ever so slightly different because the plants have obviously got a mind of their own and they've started to take their own path and whatnot. And again, the back is very much mirrored, but you can see the plant's gone a little wayward in places, and obviously this bit is different as well, and I'm going to talk about that because this has got a really unique purpose at the back as well. I try to think of everything, as you know, gang, and I really hope that you kind of like this. What I like about this area is this is going to be a beautiful place for people to just kind of have a sit down, listen to the water in the fountain, take in all of the beautiful plants and just have a bit of a chill. This would be a lovely quiet area of the zoo, because the plants would build a natural sound barrier, and it's just a way to get away. There's no animals nearby, there's not really too much to worry about. You've got a little backstage gate, you've got stuff that would be going on behind the wall and to the side here with the toilet and the crane, but it would be a really lovely quiet place to kind of like, a really tranquil place to kind of like take 5 minutes at the zoo, maybe a really lovely place to kind of enjoy your lunch as well. So as you can see, I put all the benches in. We come over here, we've got this lovely statue with the lion and whatnot. Now, I've got this little bit at the back that I kind of want to explain to you. Now, when I was building out the gardens, like I say, I wanted it to be a bit wild, and I was using all sorts of different plants and flowers, and there's lots of plants in here I've not used anywhere else in the zoo. Lots of flowers and whatnot that I've used, as you can see, because I wanted this to feel very different. I think the wisteria really adds something beautiful as it climbs all over the entranceways. The wood kind of disappears. We've got this creeping bush as well that kind of adds something, and then we've got our ivy and whatnot. But then over here, I was messing around with the grape plant, and it's a real favourite of mine. I've used it in the binturong habitat as a climbing, bush basically that comes off of the side and whatnot. But I thought, why don't we try to actually replicate the grapes like in a proper fashion? So as you can see, I've been putting the grapes on there and whatnot. And so what I've done is we've got a little pathway back here with a little gate. Now this would have been a gate that was already there, but what we've done is we've repurposed it basically. So the zoo has gone about, replanting all this up rather than this path coming all the way around, and we just got this little bit of path in out of the grapes, and it's just so the zoo can go in and pick the grapes, and the grapes can go back to feeding the animals, and it's a way to self-sustain basically. And I think it's something that the zoo probably would do if they had this sort of thing at their disposal basically. So I thought this was a really cool little thing to do. As you can see, we kind of repurposed it all. We've got this little dirt path and this gate here, and the ivy's all kind of climbing over the top of the gate, which is really nice as well. And if you come the other side, there's a wheelbarrow. Obviously one of the zookeepers is getting ready to come and pick some of the grapes along here. So that's kind of what I've done there. But yeah, there's not really too much else needs to be said about this Victorian kind of gardens. It is everything it says on the tin and more, and I really hope you like it, gang. So you can come in one of 3 ways and you can exit one of 3 ways. And what we're going to do, we're not going to bother exiting this way, but I will just show you the exit. So as you can see, the beautiful wisteria all climbing over the top of that. But we'll exit out this way so I can explain what's going on over here basically. And again, as you can see, the plants all climbing over the top. Now we've got a bit of a terrain change, so there is a bit of a step here, so the guests would need to be a bit more careful. But if we come out this way, you're going to see there's another access gate and another access staff gate back here. I do need to actually put all the signs like staff only and whatnot, but it's a smaller gate. very, very much a smaller gate. I didn't want to go like too crazy with the size of the gate. I do still need to fill all the path out here, but the reason I've not finished that is because we're actually going to be putting like a small kind of restaurant over here, very similar to the snack shack that we've got over the other side. I think it makes sense to add something here because the closest place to eat is obviously Flamingo Flavors, but that's only like a drinks and an ice cream parlour. So I think we need a little something over here that I'm going to place just at the bottom here before we really kind of like venture out into the animals and whatnot that are going to be kind of up this way. So I'm thinking of doing that. We're going to have a nice little kind of seated area in here. And then I'll be able to finish off the path once all that's in and get all the planting done and whatnot. But as you can see, the Victorian kind of fence design is still here. And then we've got our gate that's locked, and this is just for fire exits only. Now, I've kind of based this on the way London Zoo do this. So basically, London Zoo, as you may know, is in the middle of Regent's Park, and so they've got a very small amount of space. They can't actually buy up any more of Regent's Park. London Zoo will never expand because it's Queensland, and they've got many fire exits in the zoo, and they all go straight out into Regent's Park through old gates like this, basically. And so as when I was building this map, you will remember I based it off of Regent's Park, so that's the reason I've done it like this. I think it makes perfect sense to do that. Obviously they're locked, guests can't come in. We've got security cameras and whatnot, keeping an eye. I need to put security cameras on top of this light, but there are security cameras and whatnot, keeping an eye on that sort of thing, so we don't need to worry about it. If we flip round, you can see all of the foliage on the outside is just as lush as it is inside the gardens, and you know, I didn't make the mistake of just having the plants on one side. Obviously they would creep both sides of the wall, so you do need to think about that sort of thing. I probably want to put a bit more kind of like ivy and whatnot that's creeped over, like you can see on this side, and some of the other plants and whatnot, just to kind of disguise that wall, because my whole thinking was to make that wall disappear. So that's basically what's going to happen down in this area. But if we were to go through this access gate, gang, you are going to see the backstage area in here is complete now. It is very, very much complete. There's maybe a few little minute changes I need to make. There's a bit of planting I need to do. Like I say, I just didn't feel up to getting it complete, unfortunately, because of the pain I was in. But I got to do like all the planting along here. And I've got to get some more site planting in here, basically. I've got all the trees in, I just need to get all the bushes and all the little details in. And then this is complete, and really, really satisfying to get this corner all tied up. It really, really is. Now, this building that I've made is nothing but a facade. As you all know, we've got 2 quarantine units in here, and I think it'd be a bit overkill to have any more than that at this end of the zoo, especially as this is a sandbox build, and we don't really need to worry about that sort of thing anyway. So we've already got 2 quarantine units, but this is essentially a quarantine building for the animals. That's kind of why I've built it. It would also be kind of like maybe a little place where some of the eggs, and there would be incubators and that sort of stuff. So essentially this is kind of like you know, an all-in-one for that sort of thing. It's not the biggest building, but the reason for that is we didn't want our medical facility down here to be too large. We wanted this medical facility to be for the smaller animals as well, so do keep that in mind. Obviously, when you look at the design, you're going to see that you wouldn't be able to take, you know, like a big animal there, you know, like a zebra or whatever. But the reason for that is we're going to be building a huge medical facility up the back, and we are also going to have a little medical facility over here that's going to basically look after all of the African animals, basically. It's not going to be anything too big, but we're just going to put a little something in there just as an emergency one for the African animals, and then the big medical facility will be up the back, which is one of the reasons why I carried this road to this point and had an access gate, so that if we do need to get a small vehicle in behind, we can, because the road will obviously go all the way up. This would only be for smaller vehicles, obviously. Our larger vehicles would have to take the main access gate over here. basically. That's how I've done it. So what I've done back here is obviously I've added the car park in. It's been a long time coming. You got to remember we did this medical facility way back when, probably episode 2 or 3 of this series. That's a long time ago. I finally got the parking done. I kind of finished all the back of the building up, got all the pathway in, and then I've built this unit here. We've got a little seated area. We've got like a little hay shed. There's loads of little details that I've had basically, and I've tweaked a few bits as well. So these buildings here, I've made them smaller. Their roofs used to be a lot higher than this, and they looked a bit silly. Obviously, scale is something that's really difficult with this game to get right, but you know, I just made them a little bit smaller, and I think they look a lot better for it. You guys probably wouldn't notice it that much, but I tend to look at this stuff all the time, don't I? So I do notice these things. So this is the big change, I guess, that we should look at, and this is our quarantine building basically. Now it is a facade, like I say. I've decorated it to a point because I wanted to have the same windows and doors as the medical facility. So I've decorated this to a point, like we've done all this in here. I do need to get some lights on the ceiling, but if I take you inside, you're going to see it's nothing but decoration, gang. It's nothing but decoration. And then on this side, I've done like a big kind of like warehousey type door. I think there would be lots of storage, lots of things that needed to be kind of put away over here. We've obviously got a big unit to come in, and we've got more parking. But yeah, there's a lot of parking down here, but with the amount of like trailers and small carts and whatnot that would probably be, you know, moved around in this area, I think it kind of makes sense. It's a little bit hickledy-pickledy here. The bend round is that's not really how that should follow, to be honest with you. This should be a deeper kind of bend, but because of the lack of space with the wall and whatnot, the zoo's just had to make do and do this bit of a weird bend basically to get that around the corner and up and out of here basically. But yeah, we've got loads of parking. I've kind of tried to continue the same style of building as what we had there because I really wanted it to match up. Hence the reason why the warehouse part's got the nice kind of metal parts on it. And then this has got that wooden strut design on the roof, which I really like. And then if you come around the back, this is more kind of like the outdoor holding area to the quarantine unit. You know, if you know, the nicer days, we can let the animals out. Now, I understand that because it's a quarantine unit, really it shouldn't just be mesh on the inner walls. They should probably be covered up a little bit more. But I've just done mesh for now, and the reason for that is, remember gang, I'm trying to hold back on a little bit of the piece count and the details because I don't want it to go too overboard, basically. But yeah, this is it. So your zookeeper can come in, you know, that end or this end. Obviously we've got all our drainage for cleaning it out and whatnot, and then each one has got a gate at the back, but obviously there would be access inside as well because these doors obviously go to the indoor parts of these quarantine units, and that's basically how I've thought about it, and that's how I've designed it essentially. I did a little bit of reading, but obviously I didn't want to go too overboard because it's nothing but a facade. It's just for show. It's just to look good. It's just to take up a bit of space back here and do a job, basically. And I think it does that job nicely. I really do. I love the way all the windows have come out. I love the way all the doors have come out. The roof on this is just as nice as the roof over on that one, and again, if you look at it from the front, it's got that lovely supporting strut, very similar to what we've got over there, and I think that they match up really nicely. Like when you look at them from a distance, I really feel like that matches up, and it looks as though that's TW's, you know, first medical unit. I'm actually considering using the very similar design when we do our big medical unit at the back because I do really like it. And then just to kind of fill in a bit of space back here as well, I put some fences around because I want this to feel like one big unit. We will fill this out with things like bins and, you know, workman stuff like tools and whatnot, and we'll fill all that in. And then I've put in a hay shed over here, very similar, you know, basically to the way we did it over near the Akarpi. I felt like we needed something like that over here. And then just on the back of that, we've got another one of those workman sheds attached to it. If we come up this way, This was behind the toilet. So I did a little bit of work behind here, and because this was obviously next to the medical building, and I just thought that obviously the staff, I know we've got staff centres for in the game, and that's kind of like how the staff kind of like are managed in the game, but in real life they would have seating outside as well. So I decided to just put this nice little seated area in for them, a couple of benches and some seats over here. And then if you were to go this way, you can see there's a little door that goes into the bathroom basically, so the cleaners can go in and, you know, gain access and whatnot from behind as well as in front. Little manhole cover, lights, cameras, all that good stuff. We put more planting in. Like I say, I do need to finish the planting off. I need to do all the low bushes, kind of like where the corners are and where the little gaps are. I just need to fill all the planting in, and then this will be absolutely done, dusted, won't have to look at it anymore. Because it's an area that we don't really spend a lot of time in. It's just one of those things, isn't it? You know, with these backstage areas, once they're built out, you don't really need to go over to them. The animal stuff, I'm always going back and touching them up, but I feel like this is an area that now it's done, we won't really have to pay it too much attention. But I just needed to get that corner finished off, and I think you can see just what a great looking thing it is now that that piece is done. The zoo, just for doing that corner, has filled out, and it's almost like we're building off in that direction. And I'm going to talk about how we're going to build going forward right now. So gang, I really hope you've enjoyed today's episode. I know there's no animals, but I know that some people really like this sort of stuff as well. They like to see all the behind the scenes, and they like to see all the little bits of detailing in that I do. But let's talk about what's going to happen next. Now, the animal that I did plan to do as part of today's episode was the otter, the new little otter. I was going to put it in this area. I thought it was going to be perfect, like close enough to the crane and the gardens, but, you know, further enough they had its own little area. And then, you know, obviously I was just in pain, so I decided, I'll get all the other stuff done. It'll be a bit easier, and I can come back to the otter at a later date. Now, I'm actually now not sure if I'm going to put the otter there, because I've got this idea of putting the shop there. I think the reptile house is going to go in this area, to be honest with you. Once the shop's in, I think it might be a great place to kind of put the reptile house down here. I think the seal are actually going to end up moving a little further up, and we might put another animal kind of in here maybe, as the reptile house, I would imagine, is going to run along this fence. And the reason I'm doing that is because I want to build that wall up, basically behind now, to stop guests jumping the fence, basically, which is something I'm sure, you know, would potentially happen. I know London Zoo, obviously, they've got they're sits right on the edge, very similar to the way this does, but I'm thinking that's maybe the case now. And, you know, the more I think about the otter, the more people keep saying, why don't you combine them with the orangutan, or why don't you combine them with, you know, another animal? I think it'd be really, really cool if you did that. I might do that. I might save them for somewhere else at the minute, and we'll concentrate on something else down here. But yeah, I'm going to try and get that shop in for next episode, and I also want to try to get started on this little area with the shops as well, because it'll be a good way to get one of those toilet blocks in, because that's definitely something we need to do over here. And I want to get this area filled out as well, and I want to get all the planting done in here. I really just basically want to tie some bits up for next episode. So like I've already said, there's going to be an episode a week now, and there are potentially going to be more episodes where there won't be animals, because I'm going to be working on other stuff. But if I've got stuff that I can present, I'm going to do it, because I basically want to try to get an episode out a week from now on. I'm really starting to try to stick to a schedule, gang, so I really hope that that's not too much of a problem. Basically, what I'm going to do, I know I put in all those plans in last episode, and I am going to follow all those plans. I really, really am. But basically, my plan now is I'm not going to work past this point. See this little path here? I'm not working past that point. I'm basically want to fill in the bottom part of the map now before we move up here. Because after doing that, it was so satisfying to get that done that I feel like the African area really needs doing, and I really need to crack on with the elephants as well. They're the two big things I want to get done, along with all the little jobs that I'm continuously doing with this project. But I'm going to try and get the bottom of the map finished first, and then we'll move up to the top of the map. And the reason I want to do that is because I don't know where I'm going to be at with the animals. I don't know how many animals are going to be left on the list when we get to the top half of the map. So, yeah, it will give me a really, really good idea of how much more space I'm going to actually need. Because I still, to this point, don't think I'm going to require all this space, to be honest with you. But that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to basically work down the bottom of the map. So I want to get these shops in. That's potentially going to be next episode. I want to fill this in. That's going to be seating. It's going to be an aviary. There's going to be lots of bits going in there. So I want to get that filled in, get the planting done there, finish off the planting over here. I want to get the reptile house potentially started. I want to get the elephants done, and I want to start cracking on with the safari area for Adventure Africa. I want to say a massive thank you to everybody in the comment section of last episode as well for sending me to lots of places and lots of zoos that I can look at for the safari idea. I really, really appreciate it, because it's not going to be easy. It's going to be pretty difficult, but you sent me some really, really great great zoo names and stuff, so I could go and look at references. It was really, really appreciated, gang. And do continue to get involved in the comment section, because it helps me in a really, really big way. So yeah, essentially that's what's going to happen next episode. There will hopefully be an animal next episode though. I want to work on something, even if it's just like the peafowl or whatever, because I got an idea for that. I think over in the Asian area it might be quite nice. So yeah, there will be an animal, but there's lots of little bits I need to work on, I need to continue working on, but I really hope that you've enjoyed today's episode. And so there you have it, my friends. We are done and dusted for another episode of Tropical Wings. I know there was no animals today, but I do hope you've enjoyed it. I will leave you with a cinematic of the beautiful Victorian gardens that now sit in Tropical Wings Zoo and take pride of place in Tropical Wings as well. Do let me know what you've made of today's episode in the comment section below, and continue to let me know what you want to see from the series. But my friends, I'm done and dusted. If you're new around here, please consider hitting that subscribe button, drop a like on the video to support this series. But until next time, you stay safe, stay humble, and I will see you real soon.